Here are the top stories this hour. Death toll rises to 56 in Pakistani suicide attack from Sunday. 11 killed, 26 missing as heavy rains descend on Beijing. Thousands protest in Sofia over female victim's murder in domestic violence case. Welcome to the World News on VOP TV. I'm Joy Adesowa Iramoseli. The death toll from a suicide bombing in northwest Pakistan that targeted a hardline religious group political rally has risen to 56 on Tuesday. Anwar ul Haq, the region's deputy commissioner, stated that the toll from Sunday's attack in the Bajour district on the border with Afghanistan could rise. The Islamic State militant group claimed responsibility for the attack on a gathering of the party, which is known for its links to hardline Islamists, but which condemns militants seeking to overthrow the government. The party is allied with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif's ruling coalition, which is preparing for a general election that must be held by November. Sharif denounced the blast, which came after months of political tension and an economic crisis, as an attack on the democratic process. No fewer than 11 persons have died, with another 27 missing after deadly rains descended on China's capital, Beijing. The downpours have also triggered landslides and floods that swept away cars and destroyed roads. Remnants of Typhoon Doksuri have continued to unleash the heaviest deluge in a decade over parts of northern China. 2 days of steady rains have overwhelmed riverbeds around the western outskirts of the Chinese capital, turning the once calm waterways into ferocious torrents that have swept into people's homes and torn down streets. The sprawling mega city, home to nearly 22 million people, saw an entire month's worth of rainfall over 48 hours. The storm is the deadliest to hit Beijing since 2012, when floods killed 77 people. The Memphis Police Department has announced that their officers shot and detained the gunman who attempted to enter a Jewish school on Monday afternoon. Police received a report that an armed male fired his gun outside the Magolin Hebrew Academy earlier in the afternoon. The suspect left the scene after failing to get inside. Tennessee Congressman Steve Cohen announced that the gunman was a former student. Although the suspect has not been publicly identified by police, a police officer then shot the suspect. He was transported to a local hospital in critical condition. Thousands of people have staged protest rallies in the capital, Sofia, and other Bulgarian cities following a case of shocking violence against an 18-year-old woman. The incident happened on June 26 in the central city of Stara Zagora, where a woman identified by her initials, DM, was allegedly beaten and disfigured with a knife by her boyfriend, but was only made public on July 28 following the victim's family frustration with the slow pace of the investigation. Some 5,000 people gathered in Sofia on July 31st, while large crowds also gathered in other cities in the Balkan country, including Stara Zagora. The 26-year-old suspect, Gorgiev, was arrested after the attack, but a court in Stara Zagora later released him after rating the woman's injuries as light. He was rearrested on July 31st after the case was made public, sparking a wave of public outrage, and the prosecutor's office announced that it was accelerating the investigation. A new prosecutor, Zaneta Nedkova, was appointed to the case. She ordered a new medical examination to determine how serious the victim's injuries actually are. The victim disclosed that Gorgiev cut her hundreds of times, and broke her nose and shaved off her hair. Bulgarian police statistics showed that 18 women were killed in the first quarter of this year by suspected partners. Women's rights activists say the number is actually much higher. Bulgaria has yet to ratify the Councils of Europe's Convention on Preventing and Combating Violence Against Women and Domestic Violence, known as Istanbul Convention. Russian authorities have accused Kyiv of yet another attack on Moscow and its surrounding with drones, one of which hit a building in the capital that was damaged by a drone just days ago in a similar attack. Early on Sunday, Russian officials have claimed that the intensified attacks on the capital region reflect failures in Ukraine's counter-offensive. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky stated over the weekend that the war is gradually coming back to Russian territory, but stopped short of taking responsibility of the attacks. The repeated drone strikes underscore Moscow's vulnerability as Russia's war in Ukraine drags into its 18th month. The Russian Defense Ministry stated that it shot down 2 Ukrainian drones outside Moscow and jammed another, sending it crashing into a skyscraper in the Moscow City business district and damaging the building's facade. France has announced a planned evacuation from Niger after a military coup there, one backing from 2 other West African nations ruled by soldiers. The French Foreign Ministry in Paris stated that the evacuation will happen rapidly. It gave no other immediate detail. The French decision to evacuate comes amid a deepened crisis sparked by the coup last week against Niger's democratically elected president, Mohamed Bazoum. The West African regional body, known as ECOWAS, has announced travel and economic sanctions against Niger and stated that it would use force if the coup leaders don't reinstate Bazoum within 1 week. Bazoum's government was one of the West's last democratic partners against West African extremists. In a joint statement from Mali and Burkina Faso, their military governments wrote that any military intervention against Niger will be considered as a declaration of war against Burkina Faso and Mali. Meanwhile, Washington has not classified the military takeover in Niger as a coup. Doing so would require the U.S. to cut off aid and military cooperation. China has lodged a formal complaint with the United States after the latter announced a military aid package worth $345 million for Taiwan, warning that the measure threatens peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait. China's Defense Ministry spokesperson Tan Kefi disclosed in a statement that the aid package to Taiwan amounted to serious interference in China's internal affairs and harmed the latter's security interests and sovereignty. The spokesperson stated that the U.S. aid poses a threat to peace in the Taiwan Strait and warned that China would resolutely defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity. Tan stated that Beijing had opposed the move strongly and lodged a formal complaint with the U.S., urging Washington to stop all forms of military coalition with Taiwan. The spokesperson claimed that some people in the U.S. continue to instigate Taiwan's independence along with separatist forces to provoke intensified tensions in the Taiwan Strait. San Francisco has sent the company formerly known as Twitter a warning that it needed proper permits for the giant, flashing new X signs on top of its headquarters after the tech firm twice refused to let building inspectors check in. The sign installed on the roof of the company's downtown office last week is part of owner Elon Musk's bid to rebrand the troubled social media giant to the 24th letter of the alphabet. But local residents have complained both to media and on Musk's app about the brilliant flashing lights emitted from the sign at night. Some have also complained about safety, suggesting the sign which looms over the building edge does not appear securely anchored to the roof. According to the complaint posted on the website, a building inspector following up on a complaint first went to the tech firm's headquarters, but was not allowed on the roof to check the sign. Instead, an ex-representative told the inspector that the structure was a temporary lighted sign for an event. Finally, Myanmar's former leader Aung San Suu Kyi will be pardoned for 5 of the numerous offenses for which she was jailed for a total of 33 years. The Nobel laureate, who last week moved from prison to house arrest in the capital Naypyidaw, has been in detention since the military seized power in a coup in early 2021. She is appealing the convictions for the various offenses ranging from incitement and election fraud to corruption. She denied all of the charges. Myanmar television reported the pardons on Tuesday, but an informed source stated she would remain in detention. 78-year-old Suu Kyi, the daughter of Myanmar's independence hero, was first put under house arrest in 1989 after huge protests against decades of military rule. And that's it on World News on VOP TV. We would like you to subscribe and engage us on YouTube. It is Voice of the People TV and on other social media channels at VOP TV Live. I'm Joy Adesowa Eremoseli. VOP Business comes shortly. Thank you for watching.